and going into sidechain compression after that, because you want everything to gel and lock into that drum beat groove, okay? So sidechain compression after the big delay. So the big delay happens and it gets pumped out. Alright guys, so this is New World Prophecies, the title track of my new EP. It takes influences from jungle, dub techno and footwork music. And right now I'm going to give you a rundown of basically what went into the track. I'm going to go into detail of how I made all the sounds, where I sourced them. So yeah, grab a coffee, sit back, relax, and maybe grab a notepad or whatever, and let's get into this. I'm going to start out with the drums and the bass. So I'll just solo them. So right, we've got this acid bassline with this kind of jungle break, which is from my latest sample pack, Sounds of a Forgotten World 2. There's a link for that right here and down in the comments, but a lot of the samples in this track are from that sample pack. So we got that acid bass line, a jungle break beat, just cut up in the arrangement view there, and we've got these 808 hats, which I sequenced with the MDD Snake MIDI sequencer to create some kind of hypnotic modulation. So there's like a polyrhythm going on with the modulation on these hi-hats, and then I sampled them. And we've also got this clave, which is an 808 clave, and it's sequenced polyrhythmically. So it's the loop is in four measures. It's like 3, and it just keeps going around like that, which creates like this hypnotic feeling, which goes on and on and on, right? And I'll just go into that. So basically you got that clave, it's just repeating, but there's a delay, so it sounds like it's hitting every 8th note because of the delay. And I've got a filter before the delay, so it's modulating it. So as it's going into the delay, it's got this filter mod, and it creates a lovely movement for like the hypnotic rhythm. Like if I was to turn off the auto filter, it's more static. But we've got an auto filter on there with a band pass and some LFO. So it's just moving gently and going into the delay. It creates a really nice movement for your hypnotic percussion. I use this technique a lot. It's going into a bit of reverb, and I've sidechained that to what is I've got a sidechain channel set up. You can't hear it. It's just got some 808 kicks following the rhythm of the breakbeat, and this is what's triggering all the side chains in the track. So a lot of the sounds have side chains on them, and they're all being triggered by this one, what you call like a ghost side chain track. I can't hear it, but it's triggering all the side chains, and it's in groove with the beat up here. Okay. So that's the drums. I'll go into the breakbeat here. So it was a breakbeat from my latest sample pack, Sounds of a Forgotten World 2. And I literally just pulled a break out of there and just started cutting it up in the arrangement view here. So I don't really bother putting it in a sampler and slicing it. I just put it in the arrangement view and just use Ableton's very handy tools and just like slice it, cut it, put little fades in to stop any clicks, and it's basically yeah, you know, it was originally a jungle break, and I've like the first half of the tune, it is a jungle break. It's cut up. Look, the first half of the tune. It's kind of a weird jungle pattern, but yeah, it's not your conventional drum and bass or jungle pattern, but so the first half of the tune it's doing that, and then the second half of the tune it's changed up. I've changed up the pattern. We'll go into that a bit later, but in this context, the drum break is just rolling along, just this one pattern. No variations or anything, right? So that's the drums. That's the drums for this section. No, it's not. I did more. So right down here, we've got these big splashes, like that's coming from basically I took that break beat, I duplicated the track, I just kept the snare drums, right, and only the snare on the last bar, okay. So every last fourth bar, right, just got a snare drum, right, same one from that break beat, but it's got reverb 100% wet, and it's heavily compressed, going into like basically limiting. We've got a 10 ratio slammed with the glue compressor after the reverb. Remember that, okay, because the reverb reacts really nicely to the compression. If I was to put that compression before the reverb, it would be completely different, okay. So reverb 100% wet, so it doesn't clash with the original breakbeat. It's no phase or anything because it is the same snare, right? 100% reverb, heavy, really heavy compression, like just over compress it, smash it, and then we're side chaining it, okay? I'll just disable the side chain. So the side chain just locks it into that that footwork rhythm, okay? I'll just solo this element. So that is literally just the snare from the breakbeat put on another track, and then just these three processes. I do this a lot for like jungle and D&B. And what I did for the transitions was I took this explosive snare thing, and oh, where's it gone? I've got to find this track. Hold on, guys. Yeah, so I took that snare and I put it on another track, but reversed it. So you got that big reverb trail going. What I did was I flipped it around, reversed it. So for the transitions, it rises up. But before every transition, look, let's say on the right before every drop, you got that reversed snare hit from the breakbeat. That just leads up perfectly because it just leads up perfectly into the breakbeat because it came from that breakbeat, and it's like homogeneous. How do I say? Like I use that a lot in my tracks. Like it's I'll take one synth and I'll put it on another track and edit it, resample it, and you get a really homogeneous sound. You do it with your breakbeats, resampling. You know, that's fundamental drum and bass jungle practice. So that is the drums, yeah. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracks. And I'll go into the bass. So, but once again, yeah, that breakbeat is from my latest sample pack, Sounds of a Forgotten World 2. There's a bunch of jungle and hardcore breaks on there. Please go check it out. There's a link for it right here and down in the comments. So onto the acid bass. So we got this acid bass line, okay? And I'll just show you the MIDI first. So one thing to note here is we've got low velocity notes and high velocity notes. And the high velocity notes are shifted up an octave, okay? So in a way, it's like you've got these. It's kind of a simple pattern, right? But it's kind of like a call and response between low velocity and then the high velocity and shifted up an octave. And you've also got some overlapping notes here on these top ones. And the synth is set to one voice. But I've got glide enabled, so it's operator, by the way, it's the operator synth. I've got glide enabled, so even though it's one voice, if you've got notes overlapping, they'll glide in between and cancel each other out. Alright? So this is fundamental acid bassline programming here. Velocity and note sliding, okay? And simple melodies, nothing too complex, and it's just very rhythmical, just going with the drums. And there's a lot of attitude to it, and just basic call and response patterns, which are all in key with dub chords and everything else. So I'll let you hear it along in context with all the synths and stuff. So the bass, right? That's the MIDI. Let's have a look at the synth, right? I've got the scale device I like to use it a lot just to make sure I'm locked into the scale. I don't have much music theory, a little bit, but yeah, I just tend to lock things into scale like that. And it's C minor and operator. So we've got a saw wave, a little bit of amp envelope shaping. And I find this is a big deal. So if it was just, if the sustain was turned all the way up and it was just flat, you lose out on cleaning up your mix. Like if you just reduce the sustain a little bit, not too much, just a little bit, it makes it nice and stabby and it fits with your drums better. It's not so like obtrusive with the rest of your mix. It's just, I don't know what I can say, more transient in a way. I like to do this with dub chords, acid lines, pretty much everything. Just turn the sustain down a little bit and have a fairly short decay, and it just tidies up your mix. And we've got a little bit of attack there. And we've got a filter, and it's the MS2 filter, and it's got quite a bit of resonance, and we're modulating that via automation here. Also, we've got some filter envelope action happening, right? And there's a modulation happening to the decay there via this Maxwell Live LFO. So it's opening and closing the envelope timing, which is lovely for your acid lines. Just really makes them come to life. Makes them just sound more organic and stuff. I did another video where I went into depth on acid bass lines. Well, I've got a couple of videos. I'll link one of them right here, okay? I use this technique a lot, and operator's great for making acid lines. So we've got glide enabled, okay? So it can glide between notes, and we've got synth set to one voice, okay? This is important. And that's it. Pretty basic stuff. So the LFO is modulating the decay on the filter envelope. We've got this auto filter, which is, I'm automating it. Have a look at the automation. So yeah, this is the automation, and I'm just using it creatively to basically bring in certain parts of the tune and bring it just down to the sub bass. So all you can hear is the sub, like on the intro. Over here, there's a section where I'm introducing the bass, but it's just the sub. So you rolled it right down to like 80 Hertz, so you're just getting that sub of the acid line. And then on the drop here, opens up and you get like snarling kind of acid sound we all love, right? And let's go into some of the effect processing we got here. So what I've got is a delay, right? And I put in an effect rack. So I've put the delay to 100% dry wet, okay? And then put it in a rack. So we've got a dry chain, nothing on it, and just that delay lane, right? And what I've done is I put a gate before the delay. Now, I can't stress to you how kind of important this is for keeping your mix tidy. If you're making genres like this, you might have a dub chord which is already thunderous and going into like a big delay, right? And you also want to put some delay on your acid line too. Well, you're going to end up with a muddy mix. Not necessarily. Put a gate before it, so that only the very shortest transients from the acid line are going through into that delay. And you've got, what you end up with is a really clean delay line, okay? And the delay is very simple, just dotted 8 notes, and like filtered it a bit, and it's got the side chain on. Big deal, okay? That side chain coming from the Ghost side chain track. That's all going into pedal device. I'll disable that. So big deal. But that's really low mix. Let's turn the mix up. Yeah, it sounds great, but the context for this mix, I've got it down to like 7%, and it's just adding really nice, something really nice to the acid line, okay? And that's just a preset. The E-piano, electric piano soloist, perfect for the 303, okay? And then I'm going into a reverb, a room reverb, really low mix. Now, this is important, right? I'm using 2 reverbs. One is a room, which is, so room reverbs are kind of like tighter, but they'll kind of give your sound presence. So if you want to give a sound presence in a mix, kind of bring it to life, you can give it like a room reverb, like a subtle amount of room reverb, and bring it to life. And then you want a big reverb, put that on after the room, and I've got like a whole reverb here, okay, which is kind of giving the acid line that big space which we all love, okay? And going into sidechain compression after that, because you want everything to gel and lock into that drum beat groove, okay? So sidechain compression after the big delay. So the big delay happens and gets pumped out and locks into the groove. Okay, and after that we got chorus. I love this device from Ableton. Sounds pretty cool if you turn the mix all the way up. I should modulate that actually for like different sections, what I should have done. It was just left like that. Okay. And into an EQ. So I've got a mid-side EQ. Okay, so on the side lane I've cut out everything below 500 Hertz, 415 Hertz. On the mids, I've cut a bunch of 110 Hertz and 272 Hertz. So I preserved the sub. The sub is intact, but the annoying frequencies which come like after the main fundamental, which would just muddy up the mix, I've got rid of them, and the low mids tidied them up, okay? So just like good practice basically. If I bypass that, yeah, the mix is like slaughtered. Just that one EQ, okay? Nothing wrong with Ableton's stock EQ, it's a really great device, and just, yeah, it's the only EQ I basically use. So that's the acid line, guys. There's a lot of modulation going on with the filter frequency. I've also modulated the volume on that delay line. So the certain parts of the track I've turned that delay up so it's more prominent, okay? And the auto filter, okay? That's it. That's your acid line. And so that's the drums and the bass. Let's get into the synths. So before that, I'm going to show you, yeah, for the transitions, we've got this Thunder sample. And that is a sample out of my latest sample pack, Sounds of a Forgotten World 2. And it is just a Thunder sample. It just leads nicely into the drop, kind of subtle. But I like to use nature and field recordings a lot in my tunes. I'm always out with my field recorder, and there's another sample in this track which is a nature sample, which is this water, which you might not be able to hear, but it is there. It's a sample of some river, and some parts of the track it gets automated so you can hear it more, like right at the end of the track. Just turn it right up. So we've got this river sample, okay? And it's just quietly in the background throughout the whole track. And we've got a bit of auto filter on there getting modulated. It's going into some sidechain compression again, like everything. And we've EQ'd out a bunch of the low end. And it's just there, like on the intro. Just fades out there, and it's just something I like to add in all my tracks, and it's just there subtly. Also, it's completely hard pan to the right most of the time. Like there are parts where I pan it sort of more towards the middle, but it's always there in the tune, and this adds a whole new dimension. Like most people might not notice it, but if you're really paying attention, you've got this noise of nature just quietly playing out of one ear, okay? So that's that. The sample pack is full of nature recordings like that. There's a link to it right here and down in the comments. Please go check it out. So we'll get onto the synths. So I'll start off with the dub chord, which was the basis of the tune. I made this dub chord. It was actually from a previous video tutorial I did, which I'll link right here. You can actually see me making this dub chord in that video, but yeah, basically we got wait a minute, let me just get a section. Basically what we got is operator playing some minor triad chords, and I've got it locked into the key of F minor. It is a saw wave, again with that same amp envelope thing I was talking about. Really important, a little bit of release. Into a filter down to like 200 Hertz with a bunch of envelope, and the velocity in the mod matrix is set to the filter envelope amount and the volume, okay? If you look in the MIDI clip here, we've got some high velocity notes which just open up, like it just opens up the filter and creates a nice bit of variation for the dub chord. So that's the synth, and that's going into a flanger. typical dub chord processing, really low mix on that, into an auto filter, which is got some LFO on it. I'm going into a delay. Again, Ableton standard delay, nothing too technical going on with that. I'm alternating the width on the filter here and the feedback, okay? And going into some overdrive. Really love this device. It's at a really low mix. But yeah, adds a nice colour to the sound. And we're going into some compression. Leaving enough, like a slow enough attack to let the transient of the dub chord cut through. So we're not, you know, just gentle compression, nothing too crazy. And we're going into a large hall reverb, just Ableton's preset, sidechain compression, and that is the dub chord. And what I did was I sampled that dub chord and put it in sampler, and that's this atmosphere sound here. So I just sampled that dub chord, put it in a sampler and looped a bit. So just a tight loop on a ping pong loop, and that was it. No other modulation in there. Going into this EQ, which isn't doing anything, into a big reverb. And yeah, we've got a vacant compressor here, not doing anything. Into an EQ, cut out a bunch of the low end, and into some sidechain compression. Now there's two sidechain compressions, one coming from the dub chord, because this is made out of that sampled dub chord, so they're both exactly the same frequency, right? So I wanted to create some space in the mix. I don't want them to like occupy that same space, but done that with the dub chord side chaining it, okay, and it's adding a nice big lot of movement to the, it's almost making it sound like a pad with the movement because it's got a big long release, and also the side chain coming from the drums there, like the ghost side chain, and I've EQ'd out some of the high end. So let's just listen to that in context with the rest of the track. It's just playing throughout the track, just that sustained. And it just adds so much to the track. If I bypass it, it's like the soul's being sucked out of the track in a way. But having it there. Another thing is it's like pretty hard pan. So here you've got the dub chord. This atmosphere, which is made out of that dub chord. Because they're the same sound, I've panned the atmosphere out a bit. So they work really nicely together now. So yeah, resampling, guys, it's your best friend, along with sidechain compression. If you're looking for dub chord samples and stuff, yeah, they're all on like my latest sample pack and previous ones. I'll put a link for that right here and down in the comments. Yeah, so that's the dub chord in the atmosphere, and we've got this pad, which is, I basically took that dub chord synth and put it on another track and played some keys, but they're not minor triads, it's just like 7th chords in the key of F minor. And I changed a few things in the synth, like I put some LFO on the volume, so we get a bit of modulation there. I gave it some attack on the amp envelope, and changed the filter position and gave it some spread. But the rest of it, basically the same. I turned down the width so it's a little bit more mono, because you don't want too many stereo elements in your mix. So if you've got like a big stereo dub chord and the other atmosphere sound, and you've got another synth and it's like full on stereo, no. Make it mono or pan it out, and that will really, really tidy your mix up. And this is sidechain also, okay? But we'll just bypass that utility. So it's not so it's full stereo, and you hear it's just muddied up the whole mix. So yeah, really important point, guys. Maybe one or two elements which have that full-on stereo vibe, and the rest of the elements you work it out yourself. So make something more mono, pan it out. Maybe sidechain the stereo field. I don't know, guys. Work a way around it, but be creative with it. You don't want to like a washy mix where everything's stereo and you get tired because you can't define where things are in the stereo field. That's just going to be a big mess. Okay, so that's the that pad, and the final element I'm going to show you is these keys, which are that pad, again, put onto another track. So again, guys, we're talking about that homogeneous use of sound. So the whole track is made out of one synth, guys, just resampled and put on different tracks, all right? The drums are all made out of one drum break, just resampled and put on other tracks. And that's where you get that that sound which we all love, okay? So the keys, I just took that pad, which I just showed you, put it on another track, played some keys, which is not my strong point, but anyway, yep, eventually I worked out this melody here, and shake the amp envelope, just changed a few parameters, and that was it, same thing. Played up in a higher range on the higher octave so they don't clash with the pad. So yeah, the track starts out with a different drum pattern. So I'll just play you the intro. So yeah, this is the intro drum pattern with the drum break, which is kind of a more familiar drum and bass or jungle pattern. Still with footwork influences, but yeah. So we can hear the acid line. If you've got your headphones, you'll be able to hear that sub coming through. So that is the first half of the tune, all up to the middle breakdown, where I take out all the drums, and then as it leads up into the second drop, change the drum pattern. So this is good practice for your tunes. So you can get away with making a whole tune just by, you've got your first half and you want to add interest to the second drop, just change your drum pattern. Literally your listeners will thank you, you'll thank yourself because it's just such a simple thing to do. Maybe add a couple of percussive elements like I did with this, I added this hi-hat in and then this hypnotic clave thing which I showed you at the start. Yeah, so that's it, guys. Please go check out the whole EP. I put so much love and effort into this. There's a link for it right here and down in the comments. New World Prophecies. And if you'd like more content like this and exclusive content, and you'd like to get at me about your own productions and download all the Ableton Live sets from my YouTube tutorials, please go check out my Patreon. There's a link for that right here and down in the comments. Thanks a lot for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you later.